Good morning, I'm Katrina Foley, Orange County Supervisor for District 2. On Friday, June 11th, my office hosted a memorial to recognize those lives lost to COVID-19. We had the privilege of hearing from many of our community leaders and our own health officer, Dr. Chow, expressing their heartfelt gratitude to all of the workers who have helped us to get through this pandemic, and also expressing their condolences and their love for the families, neighbors, and co-workers who have lost their family. As we move into this next phase, and as we start to celebrate the opening of California and of Orange County, please don't forget those lives that were lost to COVID-19. Let's never forget.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Debbie Lumpkin. I'm the Chief of Staff for Supervisor Foley, who represents the 2nd District in Orange County. Unfortunately, the supervisor will not be with us tonight due to a family emergency. Our thoughts and prayers are with her and her family. Tonight's event is very important to the supervisor. She was personally involved in many of the details for planning tonight. And look how beautiful everything is. On behalf of the supervisor, we are so grateful that we could take this time tonight to be here. We've all experienced so many changes in how we work, how we live, how we interact. For this evening's event, we wanted to give all of us an opportunity to come together to reflect and mourn on the more than 5,000 lives that have been lost across Orange County. We've lost neighbors, we've lost coworkers, we've lost friends, we've lost loved ones. And for so many of us, we haven't been able to come together to mourn because of the pandemic restrictions. Right now, I'd like to ask if we can take a moment in silence to honor and remember those we've lost. Tonight is very much about giving each other the kindness and space and that quiet solidarity, which I think will help us heal. We're grateful that so many of you could be with us here tonight, including the essential workers, doctors, nurses, grocery workers, social workers, county employees, healthcare representatives, union leaders, elected officials, and their staff. It is our hope that tonight starts to give us closure to this chapter for Orange County's history. And here to help us do that, I would like to introduce Violet Remington, who is here to sing Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the song that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to feel, and grace my fears released. How precious did that grace appeared the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and skirts, we have already been through. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Thank you, Violet. That was beautiful. Next, we will hear remarks from our very own mayor here in Costa Mesa, Mayor John Stevens.
Thank you so much, and thanks for that beautiful rendition of Amazing Grace. So, first I want to thank Supervisor Foley for having this memorial, and having this memorial in Costa Mesa, the center of Orange County, where 5,000 people perished because of COVID-19, the place where we kind of focused on this at the very beginning in February of 2020, when it first emerged, and we really didn't know what was happening. And then now we're at the back end of that. And, you know, as I reflect on, on what the supervisor did, and she was the mayor at the time, she had my position, and how focused she was on public health, I'm very grateful for the work that she did. But we're here to talk about the folks that perished, the 5,000 that lost their lives, the families that lost their loved ones, 150 in Costa Mesa, just in Costa Mesa, and in many other cities, the other 34 cities. And as I think about this, I think about the difference of what they experienced and their loved ones experienced than what people experience outside of a pandemic. And how, like, when my father died, he died on June 2nd, 2019. And we all gathered around and we told stories about my father, and then we adjourned and we ate cookies, and then we went out to a nice lunch, and we all celebrated his life, and we bonded together, and we grieved over my father's death. But the people that passed away from COVID didn't have that experience, did they? Many of them died alone. Many of them died alone. Or they died with some of the caregivers that are here, that are paying tribute. Or they were comforted by some of our firefighters. And those were the people that gave them their comfort in their last moments, because they didn't have the opportunity to have that comfort of their family, and they didn't have that opportunity for their family to get together and grieve their loved ones. So we're here today to do that. We're surrogates, if you will, for those families. And I just remember the one other person who's close to me that died. Now, he died in 2017 prematurely in a car accident. He's a good friend of mine. And I remember going to his memorial, and I'll never forget this in terms of, like, how do you deal with death? How do you deal with a situation where there's grief and somebody that you love passed away? And the answer he gave that I'll always remember is, just talk about them. Just remember them. Just tell stories about them. Don't forget them. Keep telling those stories over and over and over again. So I thank all of you. I thank all of you to come to our city of Costa Mesa to do that, to talk about the people, to remember the people that perished. And I also am grateful to you because, you know, we have a new day and we're turning the page. And that's what those folks that perished, those 5,000 people in Costa Mesa, represented by these candles here that were laid out by the supervisor and her staff, that's what they represent. And we will remember them, and we will honor them. And we will honor their memory by moving forward, by telling their story, by remembering their lives, and by celebrating them. So thank you very much. And God bless all those folks that perished. God bless their families. And God bless us as we move on into a new time, into a better time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Stevens. Next, we will hear a few remarks from Assemblywoman Cottie Petrie-Norris.
Thank you. And thank you, Supervisor Foley, for inviting me to be part of this evening and for giving our community this opportunity to come together tonight. The past year has been one of profound challenge. It has been a year of profound loss. As you've heard, we have lost the lives of 5,095 Orange County residents. 5,095 mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, friends and neighbors. And so we're here tonight to honor their memory, to celebrate their lives, and to find strength in the ties that bind us together as a community. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. And for those of you who lost a family member or a loved one or a friend, I hope that you find serenity. I hope that you know peace. I hope that you know the amazing grace that opened up this program. Rest in peace. God bless you, and God bless America. God bless the County of Orange. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Dr. Clayton Chow, the Director of Orange County Healthcare Agency.
Thank you. Good evening. I think you probably have seen me give a lot of public speeches, but this has to be the hardest one. I was telling Dr. CK that reading this sign already brought emotions to me. But I want to thank Supervisor Foley for bringing us all here tonight together to celebrate the life that we have lost throughout this last 16 months. 16 months sound like a long time, but it has not been a long time. It's been a very short time. Not only we lost 5,095 lives here in Orange County, but we have lost over 610,000 lives in the U.S. in 16 months. There are people who still believe that that is a fake number. I don't know where and how they could say that those lives are fake number. 614,000 lives in 16 months. That's incredible loss. In Orange County, a quarter of those 5,000 lives were people who have so many potentials that they didn't live out, and we will miss their courage, their leadership. And then there are 3/4 of those folks who combined is the treasures of knowledge and wisdom that our next generation will never get to know. That's a huge loss. I've lost family members, I've lost friends, and many people can't come to this event tonight because they're still grieving, and I know many will grieve for quite some time to come. Because I know I've dealt with people who are grieving. How do you deal with a loss that is difficult, as the mayor pointed out? Many have died in silence, in isolation, without family being there. And I'm thinking of those who in their last days have really wonderful caretakers, but couldn't communicate because they didn't speak English. And so imagine you die without knowing how to communicate with your caretaker. Not to complain, but I know they want to thank the caretaker, our doctors and nurses who took care of them in their very last days. I know that. This is, sorry. For those of you who here and lost your family, I want to say sorry that we didn't do better to save their lives. I know they're up there in heaven, and I know God's take care of them, and they looking down onto us for us to move on. Next Tuesday is the beginning of us going back to somewhat of a normal life, and I'm sure our loved one that passed would want us to move on. The only thing I want to leave you with is we celebrate their lives, we celebrate the better environment in the U.S., but I want to remind us that there are other people in other countries continue to die from this pandemic. So it is real. As we speak now in India, every minute there are 4.5 people who die from COVID. In Brazil, as we stand here, every minute there are 2 people who die from COVID. So it is real. We really need to do everything we can to take care of each other and to celebrate each other and to help those who are vulnerable in our community so that we don't lose any more life. So with that, thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Chow. Next, we will hear remarks from Mike Ramirez, a representative from United Food and Commercial Workers, Local 324.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Like she stated, I work for UFCW Local 324. We represent the grocery workers and the drugstore workers in Orange County. You know, during the pandemic, a lot of our members had to step up just to provide the basic necessities to families in need that were coming to our stores. You know, they didn't have the luxury at that time of working from home like a lot of other people. And at that time, you know, they didn't sign up to be heroes. You know, when they got that job, they didn't realize that at one day that they might be risking their lives. Nevertheless, to date, of our 16,000 members that work in Orange County, 2,558 have contracted COVID. That means that over 15% of the workers tested positive in our stores in Orange County. So today, we honor those that became ill. Today, we honor those that we lost. And today, we honor all the essential workers who kept our society running. Today, we remember. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite up the Irvine Mayor, Farrah.
Good evening. Today, as we come together, I want to thank Supervisor Foley for bringing us all here. And I want to thank everyone that made time to come out and to remember. But one of the things that I didn't realize as I came here today was looking back at these candles. the over 5,000 candles that are behind me. Imagine individuals in their places, people with goals to achieve, people with stories to share, people with families that are still mourning. And today it's hard to be here and to be positive, but that's a part of life. Wherever there are losses, there's time for us to move on as well. But that doesn't mean that we forget. This is a time for us to remember, to pray, and to keep all of those people in our hearts and in our thoughts. And today, we want to move on, but we want to move on with their memory. And that's going to be important. Because this is what this past year and a half wasn't an easy one. It was full of difficulty. It was full of uncertainty. And it was full of challenges. For us to be here today means that we have a job and a responsibility for those that are not here. And that is to keep their memories alive all the time. Thank you. God bless.
Next, we will hear from Susan Johnson, the program manager at Health Ministries and Nursing Outreach.
Great, thank you. Whoops. All right. I also want to say thank you to Supervisor Foley for this beautiful event honoring our fallen friends, family, and community members. It's humbling to be here to see each and every one of you, knowing that you have lost a loved one or were involved during this whole process of the COVID pandemic, caring for loved ones, family members, and for the community at large. As a Hoag Faith Community nurse, our job is to attend to the mental, physical, and spiritual needs of individuals, families, and community members. And your spirits have been tested and stretched to the limit this past year and a half. Thank you. My heart goes out to each and every one of you in your loss of a loved one and the sorrow and the grief that you are experiencing. Your loved one will always be with you in spirit. Honoring them tonight is part of the healing process. We remember with love in our hearts those who are no longer with us. They are not forgotten. As you continue to grieve and to heal, please know that Orange County is rich in resources designed to help you and your families. As a faith community nurse, I would urge you to seek the mental, physical, and spiritual support that you may need. You don't have to be alone. I was part of a group of nurses that were able to give the first COVID vaccines to the Hoag employees back in December. This was at the height of the surge of the pandemic. And the first day was filled with so much excitement and so much joy, because as the staff members came in and saw that syringe, it was, this vaccine is a symbol for hope. So it was a very exciting day. The next day, people were coming in, more of the frontline workers, and I asked the question, how did you deal, or how are you dealing with caring for patients infected with COVID? And it took about a nanosecond before the tears came to their eyes. And so throughout this pandemic, many have experienced loss of loved ones, and like others have said, our friends, our families, our neighbors, our co-workers. So nobody got through this pandemic unscathed. And so what I would just like to say tonight is please take care of yourselves. This is not something that we're going to get over quickly. It's in our memories. And in honor of those that we have lost, like others have said, share your stories with them. Get involved with grief support and share your stories there. So I just want to say thank you for having us, and thank you for everything that you've all done during the pandemic. And we were together in the pandemic, and we remain together as we support each other in healing and hope for our new normal and better days. Thank you and bless you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite up Walter Moontone, social worker and vice president of the Garden Grove Unified School District Board of Education.
Good evening. My name again is Walter Muñetón, Vice President of the Garden Grove Unified School District. I also proudly serve as a psychiatric social worker for the County of Orange, and I'm a OCAA shop steward. I want to first thank the Supervisor Foley and her team for hosting this beautiful memorial. I want to thank the healthcare workers and the frontline workers as well from the bottom of my heart. And also want to thank Dr. Clayton Chow for leadership and spearheading all of the work that we've done throughout the County of Orange. As a clinical social worker, I saw and continue to see the first-hand mental health effects associated with the trauma of COVID-19. And as an educational leader, I also notice how COVID-19 affects our youth, particularly those who have lost a loved one. And personally, having lost a father-in-law and having to ride the roller coaster of emotions with my wife and our family. Today, we honor those who we lost. May we all heal in these times. Like the poster beside me state, let their light live on. Thank you, and God bless.
Next, we will hear remarks from Julio Robles, the Senior Correctional Services Technician with the Orange County Sheriff's Department.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Supervisor Foley. As you can see from this beautiful event, there's no corner in our community that COVID-19 has not had a profound impact. I can honestly tell you, everyone I know has at least one person they know that has died from this terrible disease. For me, my corner of the world is serving as the public as a Senior Correctional Services Technician for the Orange County Sheriff's Department. My partners and I primarily are responsible for inmate supervision. This includes providing the inmates with items to fulfill their personal care, searching the mail for drugs and contraband, distributing cleaning supplies, hand sanitizers, and disinfectant to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. That and so much more. To put it simply, we do a little bit of everything. Whatever is needed to keep our jails cleaner, safer, working efficiently, and in good order. I also serve on the board of directors for that Orange County Employees Association, where I get to see firsthand the daily commitment of our public servants working for the county, the courts, and also in your city. Essential workers are expected to step up in a crisis. It is our duty. However, I don't think anyone could anticipate how this crisis would touch us all so deeply. When COVID-19 was running through the community, it was sprinting through the jails. For the frontline public servants, not going to work was never an option. Each day, my coworkers and I had to endure and face the possibility of exposing our families and friends to COVID-19. Some had to make the decision to live in their garage, not seeing their family, in order to keep them as safe as possible. Workers with newborn children, elderly parents, family members with pre-existing conditions, all having to sacrifice for the greater good of the community. We are but one story of millions in the book of COVID-19. This past year, thousands of frontline public servants stepped up to serve their little corner of the world. Many of them made the commitment to go to work during the worst of the pandemic and did so courageously and without hesitation. Frontline public workers risk health and safety in order to safeguard our communities, provide goods and services very much needed under such circumstances. Unfortunately, too many were lost. Here tonight, we take a solemn moment to remember everyone we lost to COVID-19. We also pause to remember those essential workers who died serving our communities when we needed them the most. As we begin the new normal, as it is called, we will never truly be normal because of the profound loss we have experienced. Let this loss make us humble, and may we honor those who are gone with a commitment to serve their memory in a way that realizes the highest aspirations of our nation, the aspirations that lead us to build a more perfect union for all Americans, with love and hope. Thank you.
Okay. Next, I'd like to invite up the Aliso Viejo Mayor, Tiffany Ackley.
Good evening. 28 of these candles are people from my city who have passed away. It doesn't seem like a big number, but for my small city, it's a big number. The City Council and I will honor their memory, and we work together to bring the Soka University pod site, where almost 300,000 vaccinations were distributed, in honor of these people who lost their lives, so that one day we could get back to normal. As I was sitting here, I noticed a little girl running around behind me giggling. That's what we ought to get back to. That's why we're here. That's what these people gave their lives for, to a better future. My mother-in-law passed away, and my children couldn't see her last time. And the only thing that I can tell them is to continue to remember her, to ask their grandpa what was his favorite memories of her. They're 5 and they're 8. They'll never forget this time period, and nor should we. So to all of those who have passed, we will love you, and we will miss you. And here's to a brighter future. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite up Tim Tabor, an Orange County local business owner.
I want to thank Supervisor Foley for putting this together. She's my neighbor, and we've been friends for years, and it's not surprising that she wanted to bring honor to so many that lost their lives due to this pandemic. And I guess I'm representing small business and maybe people of faith, and last year was tough. I'm a restaurant owner and a concert promoter, so that dynamic duo of bad jobs during a pandemic. And yet I sit here today and think, I could be inconvenienced a lot, but I didn't lose someone close to me. And when I look at the families represented here, when I look at these candles, I think about the enormity of what we've been through as a community and how we've come through the other side, and we're seeing this glimmer of hope and it's coming back. But it's just such a great moment to remember that there was so much devastation over the last year. And yet, you know, when I think about and try to process what happened, I think about the God I serve, and I think about it's a God of hope and a God of love and a God of perseverance, a God that wants the best for us, a God that hates disease and death and pain and illness and is so for a future of bringing us together and uniting us and to be for each other and to be a community that loves each other and builds together. You know, sometimes we're such a divided people these days, but there's things like this that it doesn't really matter what your background is or where you're from. We're united in saying, let's remember these souls and these lives, and let's honor them, and let's go forward and unite together. Thank you.
I'd like to invite up the Huntington Beach Mayor, Kim Carr.
Thank you so much. I do also want to thank Supervisor Foley for putting together this beautiful evening, all of the volunteers who contributed to putting the candles around, Mr. Atkins, who was also my daughter's violin teacher at one point, beautiful, and Violet and everybody who's been here tonight. I am Mayor Kim Carr from the city of Huntington Beach, and I just want to thank everyone for being here. I am so touched to see so many community members from throughout the county choosing to spend their evening remembering the incredible lives that we lost during this pandemic. While all memorials are important, tonight's holds a special significance. COVID-19 swept through every community in the world and took millions of loved ones so unexpectedly. Everyone has a story of loss, whether a friend, a family member, or an acquaintance. And this story is the same in every part of the world. And even here, we all come from different walks of life, but we've consciously chosen to come together for a few clear reasons. We're here to honor the lives lost to COVID-19. Nothing about these losses or the grieving process has been normal. We've all been in uncharted waters for the last 15 months now, improvising along the way, often placing our healing on hold, including myself. I lost my father in May of 2020, and we are just now going to do his celebration of life in 2 weeks. But tonight, we're here to remember everyone, to thank them for their roles in our communities and for making this place a better place to live. Some of the people that we have lost were the world's best grandparents. Others were hardworking employees who made a difference, like our teachers, our bus drivers, our doctors. Some were known for being the best cook, our best friends, our best coworker. And each and every one was important, not only to the person who lost them, but to all of us. The impact of their deaths is immeasurable. We'll never know what we truly lost. So tonight, let's choose to never forget these 5,000 residents of Orange County. Let's take a moment to acknowledge our collective loss. We miss them daily, and we will remember them eternally. Their achievements were also ours, and we'll carry them forward in our lives, in our interactions with our community. With this, we can begin processing and moving through our grief so we can get on the path towards healing. Healing is a long process, and it's without a set timeline. Everyone goes it in their own individual way. But we hope that in acknowledging this tough year and bringing some normalcy back into our society, we can begin to fully mourn our losses, talk about it, celebrate the people we have lost, and begin the hard work of re-engaging and rebuilding our communities. In doing so, we honor our loved ones, living fully for them, finding ways to better our community, building bridges through our common pandemic experience. Let's not waste this opportunity to create an even better union. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you here tonight. I am truly honored and humbled. I am struck by your strength, and I know that we are all in good hands. We are all in each other's hands. We are all in this together. God bless.
Thank you, Mayor Carr. Tonight is a bittersweet occasion. We've missed seeing the residents enjoy the beautiful county and the diversity of our community events. As we move forward, please remember there is no timeline for mourning, especially in a year that has been as challenging as this one. Loss has no boundaries or limitations. Whether it has been a year, a month, a week, or just a day, sometimes the silence that we feel when we see that empty chair at the dining room table is a heavy one. I understand the stress, grief, and pain so many of us have been through and continue to carry. But I also know the strength that is taken and the strength that I see here today by all of us that are here. We will continue to persist, we will continue to take care of our own, and we will continue to show up for each other as we have shown up here tonight and as we move forward. So I want to thank you all for coming out today. And at this time, I'd like to invite, if you brought flowers or pictures, if you want to come and place it here on the kind of podium behind me, that would be good. Thank you.